All right, y'all. We are back, y'all. We are back. We're back. We're back. It's been a while. We had a mid-season break and probably a much-needed break. So much has happened since our last time together, but we're back for more Black conversation.
Right, right.
We were going to talk about Will and Jada, but I'm telling y'all, I'm Will and Jaded
Oh
out.
Lord.
And we all will and jaded out. And at the end of the day, I don't care about her entanglement and her issues of not addressing herself. So
Right.
tonight, we decided to shift gears and go in a completely different direction. And I'm happy. And I think Troy is frozen. So hopefully he'll unfreeze. But tonight we're basically, talking about why it's so hard for Black men and women. Um, I just read Horace's name, and I want to love you, but you are not letting me love you right now with this top with this man law
Man,
captain.
law captain with the
I,
sunglasses. Come on,
I
man.
wait a minute. I'm gonna tell you right now. Let me get my flag on the plate. Y'all hold on for 1 second, cause I can't tonight. You, you. I feel like it's gonna be one of those nights where I need to do flag on the plate. So let me have this handy, cause this seems like it's gonna be that kind of night. But we want to talk about it. Shout out to Horace because he gave us this topic on why it's difficult for Black men and women especially to love and connect with one another. And I think that it's a good topic, especially now, because I can say right now as a Black woman, it can be hard. It really it can definitely be hard. And at the end of the day, you have to want to put in the work to do the work to want to connect and love somebody else. And that's not easy to do, especially with what we're going through right now. It's really hard. So I'm gonna go ahead and switch over to Mr. Manlaw Captain. And let him go ahead and talk to y'all about why he chose this topic. Cause I don't have anything. I don't have anything right now on that. I don't have anything. I just want you to go ahead and help us understand why you led us to this topic. You muted, by the way. Your mic is muted. Or either you're not connected. There you go.
Yeah, I want to go to put my doctor's hat on tonight, and really involve some theories. We want to actually heal people and help those that are out there. I would say if you take 10 friends, count the amount of people out of that 10 that are single. They may be good people, good looking people, good character people, people with, good habits, good futures, who are on paper are single people that should be in relationships. However, that is not the case.
Right.
I know for myself, uh, just meeting women, and I'm gonna throw this to Jeff afterwards, but just meeting women, it just seems like there's so much PTSD, and that's something that I just trademarked for a book that I'm going to finish off in the next week or so.
All right. Link.
I will. Post-traumatic single disorder. It's just a lot of people, whether it's men or women, that have not dealt with the past,
Right.
or we're not even had the chance to be responsible and take some accountability for why we're single. It's always the other person's fault. So in the midst of me meeting different people, I meet a lot of women who first thing you do, instead of getting to know me or getting to have a good conversation, you're hearing about the last relationship and the relationship before that, and you're hearing about, how this last guy treated them and how they're not going to stand for it, or how they're so independent. And that's the time when you meet someone. If you're really trying to meet someone, you should be taking that time to get to know the person,
Right.
not destroying what possibilities that you could have. And that's the thing that I think happens all too often. And I'm pretty sure Mr. Jeff gets approached by women, and some of those incidents probably are not the most, favorable. Some of them they may be, I'm not gonna say offensive, but you may meet people that be like, they don't make his cut. And it's not
Right.
because they're not pretty, not because they're not, something that he would date. It's something that comes out of their mouth. So maybe something that comes out of their mouth or their outlook on life. So not to rant on, it's just too many people single, and you just got to figure out why. And nobody really ever thinks it's them for being the reason.
They never do. They, like I always say, people always say they want something in life in general. This is just in general. And it comes to relationships. I hear men and women all the time. They want A, B, and C. Or they want this, they like to post the pictures and say relationship goals. And then when they have it, and I'm not calling myself the full package, but I'm of quality, just as Dr. H is, and Epiphany, and yourself, we're all of quality. That's right. And when we all have our preferences, we have our experiences, and people have hurt, people are not dumb anymore. So when we have preferences, people don't want to do the work to compromise anymore. People are quick to shut down quickly. So that's my opening statement on this matter. I'll dig more deeper soon when we get into the racial part. I'm gonna throw out a word out there that makes people cringe, both genders. So yeah, but go ahead.
Right. So we're going to welcome Epiphany and Troy, Mr. Trey Amazing. It looks like Troy's having some connectivity issues. But what we're talking about, of course, I let Horace open up Mr. Man Law Captain, since this was we recommended this topic that we switched to. Why it's difficult for Black men and women to love and connect with one another. And I think that it's just, there's so much that goes into it. And one of the things that Horace was basically talking about is his PTSD, post-traumatic single disorder. People just really want to be single. And I think that people are just all out confused about what they want. I think people are too busy trying to please other people and do what this person is doing. And like Jeffrey said, everybody's looking at everybody else's relationship as goals. Find your own niche and find your own goals, because what worked for you is not going to work for the next person. And we're too busy trying to compare. People are living in what I call, shout out to Pastor V.D. Jackson for this word, comparisonitis. You comparing your life and what you want to somebody else, and it don't make no sense, because everybody for the longest time was saying Will and Jada was relationship goals, and then they talking about this person is relationship goals, and this person is relationship goals, and everybody got a relationship goal except for their own.
Dr. Hughes.
Yeah.
I want to say part 2 to that is the culture. The culture we're in right now, images and reality TV have people thinking that's reality.
Yes, sir. And it's trash.
People are looking at celebrity couples. They're looking at rap couples. And people are really out here. The vanity. I mean, you'll meet someone who presents and that's not their reality at all, but not realizing at some point I'm gonna see reality.
Thank you.
Let's just be real from the get-go.
Yeah, I agree. I really do think that reality TV and media, it has a huge part in shaping people's views about relationships, and it's just kind of crazy what's going on. I'm sorry, Troy's sending me a message. He's having some technology issues.
He has Comcast, doesn't he?
Oh man!
No, he says he's in the studio. So if he's in the studio, so his computer's having some trouble. In the studio, he's having some trouble with his computer. But so I really do think that reason why people's perspectives are skewed about relationships. I agree with you, Horace, that there is a huge part about the media. And this is why it's important for us. We touched on this last night about controlling the narrative, having our own stuff, and why it's important to, when we say representation matters, it matters on seeing it's not just enough to see Black people on the screen. It's how we are portrayed on screen. And a lot of these relationships and things like that play into it. So I think that a lot of things are skewed based off of what's in the media. And we talked about this before, music and all of these different things. But it's just like, can y'all just figure out what fits you and your relationship goals for you and not somebody else? Because we got to stop looking at everything else and look at what makes you you and what makes you click with somebody else. And I don't think we're doing enough of the work, the self-reflection work, to make sure we're partnering with the right person.
Let's address the elephant in the room. Why do you, let's get right into it. Why do you think, and a good friend of mine I was telling you about just is watching Carl Tays, but one thing I was going to say was, why do you think there is such a disconnect in the Black community with Black men and Black women? Where do you think it came from? And why do you think today it's still, I'm not saying overall, I mean, it's not everyone, obviously, but obviously, and then specifically, we talk about sports players because most of their relationships are interracial.
I have an answer to that, but go ahead.
Go ahead, everyone, and I'll say mine last.
No, well, let's let Epiphany get in here, and then Horace, we can come back to you and your man law captain. Since you got your doctor hat on tonight, so we're gonna.
He's looking so cool with his sunglasses on. I feel like I'm not a part of the cool club.
I'm saying.
So, like I do a lot of reflecting. So before I even answer, Jeff, I want to publicly say thank you very much for walking with me the other morning, and we talked and we had our whole little moment. So I heart you. Okay, so anyway, moving on. So as I reflected, like from our previous show of, Black and white and interracial relationships and my issue with it and blah, blah, blah. I kind of think this goes back to days of slavery. When you think about the field hands and like the strong Black man not being able to really be with a Black woman, I think it stems from those days. Now, again, I could definitely be wrong. I have not done a research paper or research on this, but just in my reflection and kind of really thinking about what could be our great divide, it hasn't always been promoted for us to be together. It's always been a separation. And so when you think about that, and we're always pitted against each other, although the Black female is told, hold up the Black male, it's not necessarily that the Black male holds up the Black female. Right. So it's definitely something that I've reflected on, that from slavery days, we've had this disconnect. It's always been an issue, and it's never been okay for a Black man to love a Black woman. And it's not been okay for you to say those things. So, when you actually have a couple that is, Black, pure Black, whatever you want to call it, it's kind of in a way taboo if we go back to our own history in America.
Right. Go ahead. Man law, go ahead on.
Dr. Towns here. I'm not going to go that far back because we have short-term memory in America. We do have a lot of chains that we have to break as Black men and Black women. I will say shorter than that. Growing up, young women are taught from day one about this fantasy life they're going to have, to later on they're going to have their dream wedding, meet the dream guy, and they have the perfect soulmate that is made just for them, right? And they will hold on to that. There's a lot of my friends right now single as hell because they still looking for that soulmate after they didn't incurred 500 Negroes. Then you come back to the Black man who, like my dad was the cool guy. My dad had me when he was 16. So I know my dad was not Bill Cosby. My dad was a guy that'll see me, be like, hey, what's up, boy? Dap me and keep walking. But when we do have a conversation, the first thing he will say is, are you having sex yet? How many women you got? You ain't doing nothing yet. And a lot of our affirmation in our community growing up as men is about how many chicks you have into you, how many chicks you're going to smash, and being a ladies' man. That's how you get your affirmation as a man. We're not taught about marriage. My uncle, who's a pastor, told me, don't even think about getting married till you over 35. And that was a pastor, So we're taught from two different spectrums about how to approach relationships. And I will agree to a certain extent because I believe not as far as relationship, So if you can find someone you can build with, great. But as far as marriage, I believe that a woman should be ready and have all her stuff aside where she can be the wife. And I think a man should be in a position where he can provide and be the husband in a relationship. And that's the part that people forget.
He's agreeing with you.
That the responsibility falls on the man. So the man has to be able to, be a husband. So sorry for that rant, but
no, Horace, you got my dog.
What'd you say, Joe?
I said, you even got my dog saying hallelujah. That was powerful. So
I hate that I missed it. I'm sorry, everybody. I'm sorry I'm late.
No, but you're here. We can tell you had some tech issues, so thank you, Mr. Brandon, for joining us. I know listen, I had some issues earlier, so it happens. But our topic is why it's difficult for Black men and women to love and connect with one another. And so I definitely want to get you in on what your perspective is. Epiphany was saying earlier that she believes that, of course, and I agree with her that it stems back to slavery days, and Horace was bringing it up to when he was raised and growing up, and it was basically talking about how little girls are, when we're coming up, we're taught about having this fantasy life, and we hold on to the whole getting married and all this other kind of stuff, whereas young boys, it's about how many girls you with and all of these different things. And so it's kind of like a level of indoctrination between the two and how we're raised. I think that there's several different layers to it, and I'm going to add a layer to this question on the impact, because we've talked about the impact of media on people's views of relationship goals. I would like to add a layer of the impact of two-parent households as it relates to relationship goals and why and what that does to foster the connection that Black men and Black women have with one another. Jeffrey's point earlier was talking about athletes specifically, because a lot of them are in interracial relationships.
I'm gonna get to that. Let me and then Epiphany, I'm actually piggyback off you, Epiphany. I agree with you as well. What I'm saying about athletes, like Robert Griffin III is a very good example. Everyone knows he was the one-hit wonder Redskins quarterback who had one good season with I'm sorry, y'all. Background noise. I apologize.
It's okay.
She's into the conversation. So when I get a second, I'm going to handle that. I don't know how she got out of her cage. But what I'm saying was, he made a powerful point when he got rich and he got famous and started becoming really good. That one year he was given. He was shown a lot kissing his white girlfriend a lot. And Black women and others were getting on him saying, oh, these athletes always become successful and they get with these white women. He made a comment. He said, well, when I was in school, I got made fun of because they called me ugly. They said that I was a nerd, and I understood his plight because I too was, I didn't look like what I look like now in high school. Y'all seen some of my Throwback Thursday pictures, and I was I looked like Napoleon Dynamite. And I also was called nerdy. I wasn't Black enough. I dressed in, Tommy Hilfiger and Banana Republic. And now that I'm doing well and stuff, what have you. But we'll get to the other part of that. So that's what happens. And a lot of them, that's what the case was. And then some of them too, they probably want someone who's going to worship them. And Black women want their men to have respect and be equal. A lot of times the white women will just see them for their money and their body. Or as a trophy, rather.
Sleeping with Black people is a fetish. Troy, are you frozen again? He might.
Oh no, I'm just listening.
No,
I'm just listening.
Go ahead and get in. So share get in and share your thoughts on tonight's topic.
It's so much to unpack here.
It's all right. Take your time.
So, for me, I can only speak for myself as far as a baseline. As far as how I was raised by two parents. Both my parents are still married, still together, living in the same house in Memphis, Tennessee. So a lot of things that I saw growing up, naturally, just like a lot of people, what you see with your parents, that's your first example of marriage. Your father, your mother, those are your first examples of what men are supposed to do and what women are supposed to do. And so what I saw growing up with my parents, looking back now, and especially, being in ringside and being engaged in so many different conversations, I'm realizing that, how I grew up is not what many people around would consider traditional, because I grew up with both parents working, both my mom and my dad contributing towards the bills. My dad, anybody that knows my dad definitely knows he's the head of the house. He's the leader.
That's how I believe. That's what I believe. I'm a traditionalist.
Correct. Well, see, I'm not traditionalist. I'm not, the people that know me as far as my outlook on marriage, relationships, I normalize my own normalcy. But as far as how that helps shape my attitude towards women, I mean, kind of like what Jeffrey said, I grew up, having weight problems. I was the fat kid in class. I had weight problems throughout, childhood, junior high. It wasn't until I was a sophomore in high school I lost like all my weight, started getting my hair cut. I think in somewhere in my sophomore year, that's when I turned into the quintessential pretty boy. Started coming to high school wearing cologne, Tommy Hilfiger, fresh haircut every week. Things changed completely, complete 180. And that totally affected how I view women, how I view dating and relationships. Now, in terms of how I was indoctrinated, of course, I was around, guys in my class that was a priority, is to have sex. Sex was everywhere in the media. It's in our music. It's in hip hop. It's in R&B. Everything was about, that coupled with our raging hormones at the time. We're 15, 16, 17 years old. Everything was about, okay, got to have sex. You have sex yet? Did you go there? Whatever. To be honest, I didn't lose my virginity until after high school. I was almost 18 years old when I first, got my nut off. Lost my virginity because I went to a Catholic school, and I always believe, number one, Catholics are great as far as guilt trips. Number two, I always felt like with my luck, I was like, I'm gonna be that one dude. The first time I have sex, I'm gonna get a girl pregnant, and bam, it's over. So
it's not like Horace that he went through that.
Yeah, I was like, I'm gonna be that one dude. The first time I have sex with a chick, I'm gonna accidentally get her pregnant, and it's a wrap. But
I've been there. That happened to me.
Exactly. And so, as far as why we're not connecting, I'm not sure. I mean, it could be a myriad of reasons. I can't pinpoint it exactly.
I can. I'm gonna address. It's a word, but I'm gonna get to it. Go ahead.
Well, that's why in this situation, I'm doing more listening, because I see it in Ringside all the time. Like, Black men, like, we are not connecting. I helped create Ringside because I wanted to get Black people to connect and communicate more about date. Thank you so much. I want more perspectives to be surfaced in terms of people getting a better idea of how the opposite sex or how people think, especially as it pertains to dating and marriage, and use that perspective, or use the perspectives they see and apply that to your dating or marriage or whatever the case may be. But it's definitely obvious that we are divided. I don't know what it's going to take to reestablish that glue and create more unity, but we are certainly going in opposite directions as it pertains to dating and marriage.
Yeah, we are. I think that there's like you said, there's a lot to unpack here, but I want to talk to real quick to my point about the impact of seeing of a two-parent household as it relates to two Black parents. Now, we're going to get to the interracial in a minute, but
yes,
that when I say representation matters, I talked about this earlier. It matters how we are depicted in a lot of different ways. If you are not used to seeing or having a successful two-parent relationship between a Black man and a Black woman, that is going to shape your view about relationships and how you move forward. And right now, I don't know what the statistics are. I haven't taken a look at it, but we've definitely seen a decline in two-parent Black households. But I love following Black Love because you're seeing a resurgence, and they're putting Black couples back on display, and the fact that you can see how successful it is, but also the interviews of the ups and downs. They're not just glamorizing that it's amazing all the time, because it's not. What about, how do you get through the hard times? And that's what I like about seeing Black Love. You know what I mean? When it's online, when they're having those interviews, because it's you see that reflection. And so I think that it's important to have that conversation and get involved and see that. So I want to hear from you guys on, what are your thoughts on the impact of two-parent?
I'll say this. I'll say that a lot of times, let's be honest, not just in cinema, but in reality, a lot of people are affected by seeing Black families divorce. I mean, in general, most marriages end in divorce now. Isn't the percentage 70% now?
It's getting higher.
It's getting high. At first, it was 50%, but it may be higher now.
I could be wrong, but I thought the last I heard was 70%. But like you turn on divorce court and stuff when it's not ignorant people like Roland Ray on there. But when you see episodes, it's always us. It's always us, and we're always fighting either over the kids or money, or she don't listen, he don't listen, or he's cheating. And then you hear the reasons why he or she's cheating. It's something they're not doing at home. It's something that there's a disconnect. And when they ask why they get married, it was always because family, or they knew each other through church, or their friends thought they were cute. People are not getting married stuff for the right reasons, or they get married for the idea of marriage, and then they don't want to keep it. So
basically, it's like it's very common for people to fall in love with the idea of marriage, and not the actual application.
What I'm going with this too is, like I said, it's bad examples. I think someone commented saying we're not getting enough of the good examples. Good Times and the Cosby Show is not always a reality. We're always divorcing and stuff, and our kids. I'm not going to tell my parents' business, but I've seen firsthand, bad situations. So we don't know. We don't have good examples, and
Right.
Go ahead, Horace. I know Horace was.
Yeah, I got three things I want to add to that. First, the reason I went with my example being more relevant is because right after slavery, Black men and Black women were still getting married. You couldn't stop us from getting married. The Black home was powerful, and we were together. And then you come up with integration, and then you come up with the women's rights movement, where Black women went and joined white women in their struggle, even though there were no problems between Black and Black women and Black men at that time. Second thing I have not an issue with, but to say a lot of people in my area, in my surroundings, in urban areas of poverty, where you do see married couples. However, the kids in the home witness infidelity in the relationship.
Yeah.
Or the parents are dealing with substance abuse, or they're dealing with financial issues. So you have those factors. So again, to Troy's point, I believe you said about the images. So when I look at people, when I was married, I didn't have, most of the guys I worked with or talked to would be like, they couldn't stand marriage. Now I have a brother that's married, and my mom and dad are married. But other than that, most dudes act like they can't stand it. So imagine me being married, looking for some mentorship, which is big for a man to be vulnerable enough to say, I need some kind of mentorship, or I need somebody to, teach me when I'm having an issue. Yeah. So, but we're not having a lot of that, because right now we're in the era like dudes are like, F that chick. You can get, chicks coming down.
We have choices. And
then you got the girls who are some of
their friends and family too much.
Right, and trying to get chose,
look at the model Acrimony. I don't know if anyone's seen Acrimony. Taraji's character kept listening to her family, and she made a big mistake.
Horace, you're muted. Horace,
I'm not. I got three factors.
Okay, go ahead.
No, I was saying those were my three factors.
Okay.
Well,
your microphone's going in and out, though.
Let me change it. You hear me now?
Yeah.
All right.
Well, Horace makes a good point. A lot of times with guys, I know with me, I'm quick to be like, you give me too much attitude. I mean, everyone knows this. My friends stuff laugh, and they're like, okay, you have short patience, but I'm like, I know what I like, and you give me too much attitude, or you question me too much, or you don't listen. I'm quick to be like, you gotta go. And I know the next person will be there willing to be in that place. And that's with anybody. That's just not me. So I don't want to sound arrogant. But everyone should always value themselves and have someone, we all have somebody out there. But you're right. And then with females, I notice a lot of times they listen to their friends. They listen to their family, especially. And a lot of times their friends and family are people who are bitter or are single themselves or somebody who does not have their best interests at heart.
Yeah, but again, the main issue I have in today's relationship, no one thinks they're the problem. No accountability. You know, even if
we just saw that on display on Red Table Talk in 10 minutes.
Right. So it's not my fault. We break up, it's not my fault. I'm gonna go to the next relationship and be the victim because she did me wrong. And you know, that's a big problem. Accountability.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that accountability is a huge factor in that, and that everybody, I think we have an unrealistic expectation. We have a utopic perspective on what we think Black love should be. And the reality is also we don't want to struggle. We don't want to go through that. We don't want to do the work that it takes to make a relationship work. We want things to be like we see on TV and movies all the time. And that's not the reality.
Nope.
You got to do the work. And keeping folks out your business. And I don't care if it's your friends or your family. You in a relationship with this person, not your mama, your cousin, your sister, your girlfriend over here who don't really want you to be happy, and because she miserable too, and your homeboy and this one over here and that one over here, and social media, because it's too much. It's too much. And it's
even on social media, half the time it's BS. I know couples who are always posting we're in love with their mentors, and they hate each other.
Right.
Or they fight, or I know that they're cheating. I just don't say that. They're not my business. And I know they're both cheating. And I just be like, okay.
I mean, we see that a lot on social media. I mean, social media is for a lot of people about appearances, about purporting a certain image, even if that image is not reality. I mean, at the end of the day, it's like a lot of people out here, you're living your best lie, because on social media, you can be almost anything you want, regardless of how your real life is actually operating. And you do have a lot of couples who they need to present a certain image of success, a certain image of, beauty, looks, family, the whole nine. Now, whether or not that translates into their real life, I've definitely seen some examples where sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. When it doesn't, it becomes just, the marriage becomes just a lie, it becomes a farce. And it's like, why are you so intent? What is the purpose of letting your friends, family, even people you don't even know?
Because they want
weigh in on your stuff.
No, not even weigh in. They want someone to co-sign with them. They're people they see as a confidant. So not to quote Bishop Jakes, but they want people who are going to co-sign with them and validate their poor behavior. Or make them feel better about what they're doing or their situation. We've all had that friend who's called us and they know damn well what the answer is, or they know damn well what they need to do, and they vent to you for an hour. You tell them what to do, and they do the opposite.
Yeah,
because they were hoping you would tell them to stay or go or whatever they were going to do.
Right. I think one of the things we also need to understand about as an individual, you have to know your value and your worth and date at your level. Find your match. We say this all the time. But what is it worth to you? Like Sean just said, his last relationship taught him something. What are you learning from one relationship to the next on how to love and how to compromise? So for me, instead of walking away, I decided that I'm going to fight for it. At what point in the relationship do you decide that it's worth fighting for?
When the person wants to get in the ring with you. When they want to get in the ring with you.
Right. Oh, Jeffrey, there you go. That's what I'm talking about.
When they want to get in the ring with you, but people these days shut down so fast.
Yeah.
They're quick to block. They're quick to ignore you. They're quick to, or when they're unhappy, they already have a side piece that they're already planning to replace you with. So once things get rocky, they bye.
Well, this is my experience from me, and this is recently. First of all, it goes back to my point that a lot of people are going in from one relationship to another without taking that time. No accountability, is somebody else's fault. But the biggest thing that I've found, and I say it all the time, a lot of people are dating because they're lonely or they have physical needs. But a lot of people that are dating shouldn't be dating. A lot of people aren't in the mental state to be dating. A lot of people I have met shouldn't be dating because it's all baggage and it's all hurt. and you could be a good guy, but you're gonna get this and all of this, which you don't deserve, and really should be the conversation she should have had with the person that she just left.
Well,
But that's not happening.
it's
Here's
because
the
you're willing to
problem.
listen.
People are too quick jumping from one relationship. Here's the greatest lie
You
I
don't like to be alone. Okay.
People, they don't want to be alone. Because here's the thing: the best way to get over one relationship is to get under another.
Is to get on another one. You hear people say that all the time. I mean, that's something I've heard that for a very long time. I recently heard a quote, maybe a few weeks ago, when people said you should never get into a relationship to be happy. You get into a relationship to be happier. But if a relationship is the only thing that it's going to take to make you happy, you need to bypass that man or that woman and go straight to a counselor. Because at the end of the day, if you're making that person your anchor, as far as I'm happy in life, I'm happy with myself because this person is with me, we already got a problem. You need to already. I understand. Trust me. I can do an entire TED talk on. I understand the issues that come with being lonely, being single, not having companionship, stuff like that. At the end of the day, you need to find what makes you happy. You need to figure out, how you can be content being single, being yourself, knowing yourself, because at the end of the day, you can't put that much responsibility on another person to take you from 0 to 100 as far as happiness. You need to already be happy, and then get with that person. Now you can be happier, but it typically is not going to work if you're down and if you're just depressed being around you, just being you and being single. You get into a relationship to change all that, you're already starting off behind the 8 ball. So you see that, and we see that all the time with men and women. That's going to be consistent, unfortunately. But at the end of the day, sometimes people just need to, like, the only man or woman you need to focus on right now is the counselor or the therapist or a doctor or God. Or if not all that, or good pharmacists, do something.
Right. I want to get Epiphany in here and hear from her on her thoughts on what we've been talking about.
Come on, Piff.
I think everything is valid. I think when we talk about the variables, right, there's just so many variables when it comes to love or relationship. And I think the thing is, if we can't have healthy friendships in our Black community, then how can we have healthy loving relationships, right? So, I mean, I kind of feel like that's just plain and simple. If we can't be friends, then we definitely can't be in love and make that successful and make it a successful marriage.
Down. We're so hard on each other.
We are. And, like, to speak to what Troy and Jeff were saying about being like the ugly duckling and then becoming a swan. Maybe it wasn't that same verbiage, but
no, I like that. I'm stealing that.
I try to speak in analogies or give like a different type of spin on things. But I think too, when you look at the African American woman or the Black woman, we have this notion, and we've been told from a very young age, like, I don't know about LaTanya, but when I was very young, I can remember my grandmother making sure that there was not a speck of dirt on my white socks before I went to church. And it was all about the looks. It was never about what was inside of me as a young woman. You know what I'm saying? And so, honestly, if we are honest with ourselves, the African American woman has been taught to be very superficial. So I think the problem is that there's a lot of misunderstandings and misconceptions on how we're raised in the same household. If we have brothers and sisters, like you being a young man, Jeff, you being a young man, Horace and Troy, if you're not paying attention to what your sister's being told, because that's none of your business and that's the thing that has been said, then you don't know what she's being told, and vice versa. Right. So how would you understand where she's coming, where any other Black woman is coming from?
There's definitely a double standard in how boys and girls are raised in what you're saying. Yeah.
And even not just in the Black community, but every community, right? Correct. But more so in the Black community, I just think that we don't have an understanding of each other, period. And until we can get there,
crabs in the barrel mentality, back to slavery.
Well, I don't even know if it's that, because like if you look at the catalyst, or like you look at even Breonna Taylor and George Floyd, okay? Breonna Taylor died, and no, it wasn't publicly televised and this and that, but people didn't riot over her. People weren't outraged, but and we now it's kind of like
I know you had on the grand scale.
But please don't fill up my inbox, because I'm not here for it. My block is strong.
Send them to me. I got time.
Okay, so what I'm gonna say is not that George Floyd did not die a horrible, very public video death, like it tugged on all of our heartstrings.
Right.
But when you think about a young woman being in her bed, being shot and killed to death, that her home is safe, right?
With her man, and then you arrest my man after I'm dead.
Right. So you have to think about these things. Her life isn't as valued as George Floyd's. But we rode out now, and again, I mean, I guess maybe the analogy really doesn't go. But I think the thing is, African American women or Black women have been being brutalized since the dock at the port. We've been brutalized.
They literally used to put you guys on a stake and literally let men feel your breast and finger you and stuff, saying, "Oh, she's a virgin."
Well, at the end of the day, Black women have always been an object. We have been literally an object.
Sarah Bartman.
Right. We've been an object of obsession.
Definitely Sarah Bartman.
People have absolutely been obsessed with Black women, our bodies, and our bodies have been used as just that. We have just been objects. We haven't been seen as people. First of all, Black people haven't been seen as whole people. We've always been treated as animals.
We're still, for a lot of people, we're still not.
To a degree, we still are treated that way. As animals, but the way a Black man was treated as an animal was very different from how a Black woman was treated as
right.
And you would
so like that, if you watch like 12 Years a Slave, right?
Yeah.
You know, that movie, now mind you, we've all cried or had some emotions after that movie. And if you did something, okay, you know what, Jeff? Well, we won't go there. But if you had at least an emotion about when
I'm not angry,
she is ripped from him and she's hit in the head, and he has to let her be brutalized over and over and over again. Right. That causes a wedge. Horace, yes, I agree with you. It is a very, very current thing, but I don't think that things from our past don't fester within us in our present.
It does.
It really does.
Yeah, I think. Well, it's mental warfare, and once that stuff is here, it's passed down from generation to generation, and so it's unlearning unhealthy things that we've been indoctrinated with, and sometimes we don't even know it. And then along the way, social experiments are happening. These psychological experiments are happening along the way that's being instituted in our communities that contribute to the downfall and the separation of Black families and the Black family unit. And so it absolutely, I think that there's so much to unpack in this conversation as it relates to why we can't come together, because you would think all of these things that are meant to drive us away would bring us together, but it's not. It's actually working. But what it takes to bring us together, and I'm going to say it, and I know this is going to hit with Horace, and I don't care, but y'all need to stop saying that Black women are angry, because even if we are, we darn well got a right to be angry about
boy.
Don't come.
No, I think the thing is
all the time when we're being abused.
No, I think the thing is with Black women and
Black men. That's my issue. Being angry at Black men.
I think the thing is with Black women, though, and like Horace and his cast and I had a conversation. I think the thing is, when you're a Black woman, another thing we're told, you got to scream the loudest to be heard, because Here's the totem pole.
There's a
And
difference.
here is where you are. So you need to understand something. It's like when I'm screaming and I'm shouting, I want to be heard. Yes, there is an approach to things,
Yeah.
but at the same time, that's why I said to Horace's cast, I said, you know what? There are angry black women that approach me. And what I say to them is, I can't speak to you for 48 hours until you can calm down about this issue, and we will revisit, because they need to go home and reflect or deal with their emotions. And that's what a lot of Black women have issues with, is we have not gone to counseling. That's something that we have not done in our community. We don't even endorse that. And so how do you,
I do. I definitely do.
Well, you know, I do
don't.
too, but
I
how
don't.
do you vent those emotions if you've
I don't.
never had to unpack them?
Here's my question. And sorry if this sounds for any of my audience, any audience that gets offended, too bad. Here's my question. Why the anger towards brothers? I understand society.
I don't think it's always
us.
Black men. I think media thinks it that way.
I even deal with it at my own job with leadership. I can't talk about it right now publicly, but like every time it's leadership or in any capacity, like when I've answered to Black women, it's like they target me to make my life difficult. This happened at every job I've had. And I always am a top performer. I've won awards every year at my job. And I always have a hard time. I don't know what it is. Same thing in any capacity, school, anything. It's always been something. So I just want to, and even dating them, like my mom used to get mad at me all through college and stuff. You need to bring a Black girl home. You need to. And I would be like, I would if I get one that is not too difficult. And she used to get mad when I said that, but she never understood, you know. Anyways, but she would never understand. And she'd be like, well, Jeff, maybe you need to stop there's something about you. I said, no, I don't have these problems with any other race. It's just them. So I just want to ask, why is that from you? I want to hear from y'all.
Well, I want to respond to two things, Jeff. One, Dr. Hughes, we posed the question about why women are angry and we didn't validate it. We had a conversation, and I applaud Epiphany because she gave some insight.
She did.
But it's a real conversation that goes on all the time. Second of all, I believe men and women we don't even understand or realize that we project so much of our day-to-day onto each other all the time. So me going off on somebody because I haven't reached a mental place where I need to be, I don't even realize I'm taking out stuff on my girlfriend, or I'm frustrated about something else, but it's coming into my relationship on how I communicate or how I, treat that person is the issue. But Jeff, that sounds like some colorism things that may be going on with you. Because honestly, when you I know down here, the South has many issues. That light skin, dark skin thing, we joke about it, but it is a real thing.
It is.
And how we affect each other. Even when me and my friends will jab a joke at some of our light skinned friends, but like, oh, here comes this light skinned dude, So it used to be a joke, but we don't even know how we're starting to carry that thing on. So when a sister that really is into you, she probably might have been rejected by 5 other red dudes, so she's already put up some kind of stigma.
Even other light skinned Black women. Yeah. Okay.
It's I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying we do have some real ignorances that we don't recognize or we're carrying on.
I agree. I think that there's so much that we can unpack in just that part of the conversation. Because I think that for me as a Black woman, we carry, and I'm trying to post this comment about this, we carry.
Oh. Well, dang. I know she said prior she was having issues.
Yeah, she did. Troy, do you want to jump into the conversation?
I've been enjoying listening. I mean, I'm learning a lot, and I love exposing myself to different perspectives. I know for me, as far as the belief or the reality of a lot of Black women being angry. I mean, of course, I see that in ringside all the time. I'm not, as far as my experiences, I've definitely come across some sisters who've been angry. I've come across some who have not been angry. But then you have to think about like the different forms of anger. You have some who are explosive than others who are implosive. You know, I know women who I've definitely met, you know, some sisters who may not be loud and go off on people in a heartbeat and curse people out, but they're angry from the inside, and it manifests in other behaviors. It may manifest in other behaviors inside dating and relationships. So, but I mean, as far as how I've been treated, I've definitely come across a lot of sisters who are just flat out angry with me because they're mad at me because of what another Morehouse man did, or what another Kappa did, or what another man that looks similar to me, you know, because they haven't dealt with that ish, then they want to project it on me. I'm like, look, lady, I didn't do that to you. You know what I'm saying? I'm not unfaithful. I'm not whatever. Yeah. And so, you know, so I have encountered it, but has it been across the board with all Black women? Absolutely not. But I mean, have I seen it? Hell, I go in there ringside every day and see Black women who are just flat out angry, but you know.
And just as not to say that it's all Black women or whatever, there are Black dudes who are deadbeat, that, you know, that are deadbeat, who don't have anything going for themselves. So and a lot of times it could be who we're picking on both ends. You know, people joke and say sometimes I attract what I am, and I know I have a very direct personality. I have an abrasive personality at times, but I know what I want. And
you're blocked by half of Twitter, Jeff. I'm worried for you.
I'm with Jeff though on Twitter.
I want to answer this question though. I do want to answer this.
People
question.
don't like a realist. People don't like they don't.
Jeff, it's how you say it.
Look at what Nick Cannon's going through. He goes through exactly what I go through. He spoke his mind about something that rubbed him wrong, and that's wrong. And look what happened. He's punished for it.
Look, I'm gonna leave that alone because I didn't even listen. So can you go back to the question? Oh, it says how should we embrace work? How should we work around the anger issue to embrace one another in relationship? Yeah. And so I'm always going to say communicate. I've said that from our first show with LaTanya and I. And also it's not even just about communication, because if anyone would notice, if you've been watching us for a very long time, you would notice that LaTanya and I have a way of how we speak to the gentlemen on the panel. We're not sitting here, we're not disrespectful. Exactly. And the gentlemen on the panel actually listen to us. So I'm not saying that I'm perfect in the way that I speak to men. You know, I try to respect all men. I don't care what color you are. But I think that as African American or Black women, we need to redirect and really position things in a different way, because if you want to be heard, sometimes screaming closes the ears more than anything.
Damn right.
So, you know, sometimes taking a deep breath, getting yourself together, sometimes you need to say, I need 2 hours because I feel a type of way and I'm not sure what to do with my emotions.
And brothers, listen, when a female says, I need time to calm down,
give her that space. Stop pushing.
Do. Because she will come back a lot more receptive. When you keep pushing it, you're going to hear things that they're going to make shit worse. And I'm sorry for my language. Sorry. I forgot what platform I'm on. Sorry.
No, I mean, I do the exact, I mean, for me, that's how I deal with it. Because I am the type of person where if you and I are dating or in a relationship, whatever, and I get mad at something you did, I may not address it right at that moment because I know how I am. I know that when I'm filled with anger, when I start opening my mouth, one or two things are gonna happen. Either I'm gonna say some shit that I've been wanting to say to you for a long time out of anger, and maybe the absolute truth, or it may be something that may be a complete lie. I'm just saying it just to hurt your feelings because you just pissed me off. So I know I'm the type of person where I need to say, like, look, I'm not going to address this right now. I need to go inside my back cave and hang upside down and contemplate, think about it. And then when I reapproach this, I have a clearer head, a calmer spirit, and we can actually communicate like adults. Right. I'm notorious for that because I am the type of person like, you know what, if we're in an argument right now at 7:30, I don't need to talk about it until 24 hours later. Because right now I'm like a volcano because I may end up destroying the relationship right now, depending on the issue. But I come back 24 or 48 hours later, I may start off the conversation apologizing for my role and like, you know what, I'm sorry for, what I did. I shouldn't have taken it there. I shouldn't have done this. I want to hear you out. Let's talk about where we went wrong and how we can resolve it. So yes, I agree. I don't think that's, unique to women or Black women. I know I'm definitely like that. Sometimes you need to step away versus reacting when things are flared up.
I think that you both make powerful points, and that's something that we need to learn as a community. But two things: it takes maturity to do that, and I've said this from the first episode. It takes maturity to be out here dating. And I'm not talking about hookup culture. I'm talking about dating and really being serious about a relationship. That's number one, because what we're talking about requires that. Two, we don't have examples of that in the Black community, whether it's on TV, wherever, social media, whatever, that's showing us how to agree to disagree respectfully, or how to even do that step away and give each other that space to gather your thoughts, gather your feelings, and get yourself together, and then come back and have a mature conversation. All we know is yelling and neck rolling, and we giving each other the business, and it's like, that's toxic. All we have examples of is toxic behavior in relationships. We can't expect to do better because we don't see anything different.
And see, and with that behavior, that's when I shut down.
Yeah,
right. Because I'm like, first of all, I don't even feel safe at this point. Like, any signs of aggression, exit stage left. I'm done with the whole.
I always, and this is what I always tell people. Same thing on my back and forth. I don't go back and forth with people on social media stuff anymore. I don't got time. But in general, friends, family, whatever, when I have issues, I will listen. I'm the most receptive person in the world until you get insulting, yell, raise your voice, or name call. The second you do any of the three, I'm going to immediately say conversation over, because it means you're no longer listening. You're just trying to get your point across, and you're trying to exude anger. The second or you start cutting me off, I'll just look at you and say, okay, are you done? Okay, I don't want to talk about it no more. You're no longer receptive. And I'm not saying Black women, that it seems to be a problem, period. But in relationships, especially when it's us dealing with ourselves, our own kind, it seems to be a common thing.
Right.
And we don't listen. We don't, because I think both parties are so used to being oppressed,
dominant and aggressive,
or they're used to being oppressed so much by society.
Horace, just jump in there. Horace, just jump in there.
Sorry, Horace, go ahead.
No, what I was going to say from my experience and maturity and growth, I think everyone hit on the same points. But the thing was, Epiphany mentioned about listening. I had a relationship where we loved each other deeply, but when we talked, it seemed like no matter what we said, we did not comprehend and hear each other. And it was more about the other person trying to get their point to be bigger. So we would have conversations and try to be intimate and try to be intentional about hearing each other, but we just could not do that for the longest time. And she would mention something where she's like, I didn't feel safe. And it took a long time, because I'm a person where I'll listen, but my face is that thing. I'm trying to listen. I'm like, But at the end of the day, it's about, you can have those conversations, but it's about really understanding each other and respectfully listening. Even if you disagree, being able to receive what they're saying and then step back and then look and say, okay, is that possible? Because it could be true. And like Troy said, we would take 24 to 48 hours to step back without the emotions, because in that moment, you might turn into Hiroshima. But taking 24, 48 hours back to analyze what they say, even if you don't agree, just a soul search and say, is it possible that what they have has validity to it? I think you can go far with that.
So, like, just to piggyback what you're saying, Horace, like, Horace and I have offline conversations, and he always tells me, we're always on the phone for 2 hours, and he complains, right?
Yeah.
And
but end up right back in another conversation on the phone with you for 2 hours. It can't be that bad.
He answers my call, so
it can't be that bad.
So what I'm gonna say is, though, like, Horace, recently brought something to my attention. I won't put his business out there, but I will allude.
Don't kill my rock.
But I will say, in our communications, there have been times where I've been put in a position where I've had to say what I wasn't necessarily comfortable saying to Horace, but I kind of just try to break it down in a way where he didn't feel like I was putting him down.
Right.
And I think the thing is, when you have that open line of communication where you feel comfortable, so like to speak to Jeff's issue, and I think a couple of people mentioned it in the comments. I'm not going to go back, but when we talk about Black female bosses, I will say that there is a tug of war on their end to prove themselves. And so a lot of the time, what you're experiencing as a Black male or a subordinate of these women is them proving themselves. And so
Just
sometimes
me,
you
but
have
not others.
to
It's literally aimed at just me.
wait, hold on. But sometimes you have to push back. You've got to, in a way that you figure, like you're going to have to watch them and really figure out how to communicate with them in a manner in which they hear you. Because sometimes as people, we think we have our own best answer. We have God complexes. And that's not the truth. We don't always have the best answer.
Not if they don't want to listen, Epiphany. That's the problem. I can only speak for myself, and I'm not basing this. A lot of people keep saying you can't base one or two issues off of everything. This has happened about 6, 7, 8, 9 times. It's obviously a pattern. And it's not just me. I have other friends and other brothers out here who have these same issues.
It's not, well, I want to say this. It's not just you. The females experience it as well. But what I'm saying to you is there is a way to handle these Black females in power. And I'm not saying the ones, it's not every Black female. So please,
no. I've had some.
Please don't blow up my inbox talking about something crazy, because I'm not here for it. But I will say, when you have a Black female that is doing the most, right? Because it's not all of them. You need to figure out a way to communicate with them so they know that you're not the one to be played with. So maybe bringing in someone else and having a skip level meeting.
Yeah.
I'm down for the skip. You know what a skip level meeting is, right?
Yeah, if you get a mediator.
No, the skip level meeting is where you say, okay, since you are her boss, you pull her boss in and you air out your complaints with her in the room. And so, and I have done this. Because the thing is that what we're not going to do, I'm not going to have a power struggle with you. I'm not even interested in your job. I'm looking to go here, and you're thinking that I'm trying to take what you have.
Right.
And that's a common issue. So
and that's usually where, in most of the skip level meetings, most of the time there's a mediator. You have a neutral person mediating that conversation between you, because it's like my comment I said, in the workplace, Black women, we're competitive and we're already at a disadvantage. We're fighting against so much just to get to a certain point. So sometimes it's fight or flight, it's survival of the fittest. It's a lot of stuff you don't know. But you have that meeting, because I've had those meetings before myself. And it's just, and sometimes after those meetings, things are just, they're good because you've aired that out and you've had that mediator to have that conversation and facilitate that conversation. And now it's like, okay, boom. And it's just like, because sometimes people automatically think that you're a threat to where they're trying to go, because we're already fighting to get to a certain point, or I had to fight to get to this place. And now she may have had to fight another man. You know what I'm saying? It's just, I'm not saying that it's an excuse for the behavior, but I'm just.
Let me say this. I've talked to other Black women, including my own mother, and a common thing I've been told too is it could be a possibility, it could be envy. For instance, I won't get into my personal situation because it's public, and working government contract, whatever. I have whatever. You know how that is.
Mess up your clearance.
Yes. However, I will say this. I have been told in my situations, a lot of times it's middle, older age Black women who are late 40s, mid 50s. I'm a young Black man I'm young and I'm already director level, making good money, whatever. And it could be jealousy. It could be maybe I'm a reminder of I don't know.
You're a threat to their career path.
But that's the thing. I don't want, it's not even always
that. It doesn't matter. They don't know that.
But here's
you do understand that Black women are intimidated by height. Black women are intimidated by people who can't hold their tongue. Black women are very intimidated creatures. Well, I shouldn't call us creatures, but we are intimidated beings, right? And you know, the thing is that when you have somebody that isn't okay within their self, living in their skin, they're going to fight. They're not gonna flee.
Or they try
I'm gonna walk away because I'm like, dude, it ain't that real for me. But they will fight.
Yes, it's survival of the fittest.
And what it is I noticed like I have counterparts who are doing not as well as I am. I win awards and stuff every year, and I'm the one who gets the brunt of a lot of issues. Like I'm always harassed, and I'm like, you put your energy into other people who actually are not meeting their quotas
because they don't feel threatened by them.
Yeah, and that's what I've had family members tell me. They're like, that's just what it is. It's just you being you.
But again, have that skip level meeting.
Oh,
you see what I'm saying? And so use the tools that are available. Here's the thing: a lot of us in the Black community, here's our struggle is we don't know what tools are available to us to help us get to success, whether it's in relationships with one another. Again, you know, not seeing and not knowing. We perish because we don't know. And so again, when it comes to Black men and women connecting and whether it's on the job, in the workplace, whether it's in a personal relationship or platonic or in the workplace, it's learning to live with one another in harmony. And a lot of it comes with a lot of different things. We talked about therapy. I am an advocate for that. Here's the challenge. A lot of people in the Black community and urban communities cannot afford therapy.
Mm-hmm.
So how can you go to therapy when you can't afford it? And I don't care if it's therapy for you. I don't care if it's a relationship a counselor, sex therapist, whatever it is, because there's a therapist for every issue in your life. If you can't afford it, you can't partake of that knowledge. And so what are we doing as a community to take some of that stuff to give us the tools we need to equip us to live in harmony with one another? Because at the end of the day, that's what we're talking about. How can Black men and women live in harmony with one another?
Well, let's get to this topic because the whole work thing, you guys actually have helped me with that. I appreciate that. The problem where I'm at is the skip level meeting right at work because the person who is above this person is one of their best friends. So I had to go to the board of directors, but I don't want to air all that publicly. But anyways, with that said, let's talk about this interracial relationships. Why do you think a lot of Black men, in your opinion, and I'm gonna get to mine, have preferred, not everyone, but athletes or just a lot of successful Black men specifically, have preferred to go to white women, women of other races than Black women, without saying that Black men are weak or intimidated?
I don't think that's,
why would you want to deal with the drama? If you have
I think it's easy. I think some of them take it because it's easy, or because you said it earlier, it's their only option because Black women got caught up in an image. And if that Black man doesn't look like I want him to look, and I feel like I can't change him into who I want him to be, then, you know, Black men don't want that headache. And I don't mind. I don't have an issue with that because it's like, Childish Gambino? Who's the guy who did This Is America?
Childish Gambino. Donald Glover. I was about to say Danny Glover, but yes, Donald Glover.
It was the same thing. He was a nerdy guy, and it was this, and Black women didn't want him. But now he done came up, and everybody, you folks in your face, either you gonna want that Black man as he is when he owned it, when he ain't came up, when he don't look how you want him, or whatever the case may be. You either want him or you want him. And I feel like it boils down to what are their options? What options are available? And, you know, where are Black men finding safety? Where are they finding that comfort? Even if it's not, you know what I'm saying? Where are they finding that embrace, that support, whatever it is, who's creating peace for the Black man?
We're always having to be the providers or protectors, everything. So there's no one ever looking out for us ever, and that's why we have to quote unquote be hard or whatever. That's just my opinion. But I was gonna go to a different point. I would say this, and I'm gonna say this statement. And I know people are gonna get up in flames. I don't care. Do you think it is because Black women are not as submissive as white women or other races. And I know Fantasia recently and 50 Cent recently made comments. Fantasia said, you know, maybe if black women were a little bit more submissive or let their men lead a little bit more, there wouldn't be so much divorce or issues.
Horace, go ahead and get in here, and I'll say what I got to say about that.
Yeah, because I think I want to hear more men chime in on it, because our answers may vary, but it's not going to be too far apart. I'm going to say, first of all, whether it's a white woman or black woman, men want peace at the end of the day. When I come home, I want peace of mind. I want peace in my house. But I will say it goes back to the roles that are presented. In my opinion, my observation, white women do embrace that wife role, that traditional homemaker role of, he's the man, I'm going to take care of home, I'm going to be the supportive wife, where somehow we've taken a place where we were dragged out, where the woman, she wants a man, but she's still chasing her dreams. I'm the independent woman, and he wants me, he's going to have to, you know, modify his life to be with me. And I think also a lot of requirements. I think there are cases where you might find a white woman that just wants the man. I want you to be a loving husband, be my man, and I don't have all these requirements. If you have to drive a car, the house has to be this big, and you have to look X, Y, Z, like Jeff was saying. As compared to my sisters, those images have made us prejudiced, have made you prejudiced, where he has to be 6'2", he has to have this certain kind of job, and you know, he has to be able to take me shopping and all this stuff. Some of those things men aren't even checking for that unrealistic ass checklist. Men want peace of mind, and they just want somebody that's going to support them and give them a life. That's my spill on it. I know Troy looking. I want to hear Troy take.
Yes, I want to hear Troy's take too.
Me 3.
So
Me 4.
Troy is very non-traditional, so I love his perspective. So hey.
Oh, thank you so much. No, I mean, as far as, you know, like I've been very vocal in Ringside about, you know, black women have always and will always be my preference. But I'm attracted to all women. So for me, I would take offense if I was, even though I've never dated a white woman, but if I was in a relationship with a white woman, I would be offended if someone accused me of, you know, I'm with her because I hate black women, or I'm with her because I forgot my history. I'm with her for upward mobility, you know, stuff like that. I'm like, no. The same way a black man can bump into a sister out in public, you know, find her attractive and want to get her number, why can't a black man do the same thing with a white woman? Bump into her, find her attractive, and get her number. Why does it have to be some materialistic agenda, or why does it have to be something like,
Because it looks like we're turning our back or got successful and forgot who we are. That's what the narrative is.
Right. And so the whole, you know, I understand that there are a lot of people who take, you know, hella offense to seeing interracial dates, or, you know, look at it like, well,
generation.
If I'm with a white woman, if you take offense to seeing that, then you need to turn your head, because what she and I do together in and outside the bedroom is none of your concern. You know, at the end of the day, it's like, I definitely am not very traditional all the time. You know, I want a woman to submit to me, but I want a woman that I'm going to submit to as well. I believe that we're going to submit to one another.
No.
And so that's the way. I mean, I know what I'm saying. I know a lot of people disagree with that, but you know, at the end of the day, it's like me being a man in the marriage, or, you know, whatever household, by default, you know, I'm not going to come in there beating my chest and say, okay, I'm the man, you need to follow me. No, I'm going to come in there and I'm going to show and prove why I would be a good leader and why I could provide great direction for the household. It's not just me because I have a dick between my legs, like, okay, you need to follow me, you know, because there are a lot of men out there who are terrible leaders. There are a lot of men out there, just because you can come in the household as a man and pay all the bills, that don't mean you're going to be a great leader. You know, because I wanted to ask the women in Ringside, just because a man comes in, he's your husband, he pays every single bill, you never have to work, does that automatically mean you're going to follow him to the gates of hell if he leads you there? Does that make him a leader? So it's kind of a rhetorical question, but at the end of the day, it's like, I want a partner that we can both submit to one another. But when it's all said and done, you know, that is my reality, and that's something that I look for, and that's something that I actually have. Now, regardless if someone is traditional or non-traditional, there's a lid for every pot, there's a shoe for every foot. You need to find, someone who's on the same page with you as far as your beliefs and traditional, non-traditional, orthodox, unorthodox, whatever the case may be. You find them, you rock on, because at the end of the day, just because, two relationships or two marriages are different doesn't mean one is right, one is wrong. Two things can be different. It doesn't mean one is superior, one is inferior, one is right, one is wrong. They're just different. They're just different.
Address somebody trolling, please, or can I? Somebody said we're all tearing each other down.
Don't keep tearing down black women, and we're not. I don't see how we're doing that. We're having.
What I'm saying
Don't turn down black women.
Every example this clown is using is saying, I never, I did, I didn't. You sound as stupid as white people who sit here and say, I've never had a problem with police. I know good police. If it is not your reality, that's fine. Do not downplay or try to tear down or put a narrative on other people, because it's not something that you personally did not experience. That is gaslighting, and it is narrow-minded.
Right.
Can we block this person?
No,
or can we?
No.
I don't think he should be blocked.
Don't block him. Don't block
him.
The one guy on the other podcast need to be blocked. This isn't blocked.
Oh yeah, you missed that. No, seriously, though, I do want to address that. So realistically, first and foremost, I don't think that we're bashing black women. As a black woman myself, and I will speak to this. I always share a little piece of who I am as a woman. Being angry is something that I struggled with. And it wasn't always taught to me how to be or communicate.
Right.
And so I would have issues on jobs or whatever. So now that I've learned how to communicate and deal with things in a different manner, not necessarily getting rid of my blackness, but owning who I am as a black woman and being comfortable within my skin. I don't think that within my own skin, I felt as comfortable as I do now.
Right.
And just owning it and being okay with being a black woman and knowing it's just hard. It is a thing. I think that he has made some good points previously, but I'm not scrolling. But at the end of the day, as a black woman, I do see black women that do need help. And that's what this conversation is about, right?
Right.
I think that when we talk about communication, you can say, hey, the way you're communicating with me is inappropriate.
Right.
I'm not receiving your information.
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with that. I think the issue is that when you have so many negative experiences, you become not necessarily desensitized, but you get
just
very sensitive when it comes
Mm.
to someone approaching you in a certain way. For instance, I talked to Horace. I'll put myself out there. Horace and I talked, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I have an issue speaking to black men who are uneducated. Because when I speak to Horace and when I speak to Troy and when I speak to Jeff, they speak to me on a level in which it is mentally stimulating.
Right.
But when I speak to a black man that's not educated and I use the word dichotomy or I use correlate or I use any of these
using too many big words.
Using
too many GRE words.
Listen,
but
you know what it means. If you use your context clues, you'll be able to understand, right? I realized that that's something that I had an issue with. And now it's not that I walk around disrespecting black men, but I know that I have a way that I hold myself very different. I walk different. I talk different. And it's everything when I speak to an uneducated black man or man in general, it's a whole bunch of tests that you're set up to fail with me.
Right.
And that's my issue. I own it. I know what my issue is. I'm going to work to fix it because I feel like everybody is the same. We're all on the same level playing field. We're all human and we're all here to, get money or whatever your goal is in life. You have a goal. So that being that's that. On to Troy, I really agree with what you're saying. I think submission is a two-way street, and that is why for me it's an interview process. So if I'm giving you these tasks and you don't meet them head on, we cannot move forward, because when I deal with issues, I deal with them head on, and I need you to deal with things head on. I don't like to let stuff linger. Right. I want it dealt with. I need it dealt with quick, because especially stuff that bothers my spirit, I need it dealt with. So if you're not that type of dude, I can't trust you to handle the things that I've been handling all my whole life by myself. I could handle it myself. Right. So that's my interview process. Can you handle what I've been handling on my own? If you want submission, I have no issue with that. You know, you're welcome.
For me, I think, go ahead. No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's it, LaTanya. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, it's not about having a doctorate degree. I just think it's just a matter of just being educated and aware, and like she said, being able to use context clues. I have no issue submitting to a black man or any, but I'm not going to submit to a fool. And when I say fool, I don't mean somebody who not educated. I mean somebody who does not make good decisions, somebody who will not listen and respect me. Somebody, if you don't listen and respect your mother, somebody whose womb you came out of, that's a red flag to me. So there are certain things that for me, I'm paying attention to. I'm paying attention to not only how you treat and treat me, but treat somebody who you came out of, who raised you. Now that doesn't mean that, okay, if your mom didn't raise you, maybe your grandmother raised you, whoever you see as your mother figure. I'm paying attention to that. I'm paying attention to how you treat your siblings. I'm paying attention to a lot of things, because that's reflective to me of how you would manage the household. How are you managing finances? How respectful are you of people, of the wait staff when we go out to eat? Everything. A lot of things matter. With Epiphany, like what she said.
Treat your mother and how you treat your mother.
Trust you with, it's. For me, I'm looking for how I can trust you. And if there are certain things that I'm seeing that are red flags, and if there's too many red flags and we're not able to deal with these red flags, I'm gone. I'm not about to waste my time, because I don't see that I can trust you. Because at the end of the day, I'm looking for a life partner. And that means I need to be able to trust you with my life. And if I can't do that, and I don't see where I can trust you with my life, boom. And I take the same approach with finding girlfriends. If I can't trust you with the most intimate of my feelings and know that you are a safe place for me, sis, we can't be friends. I don't want to talk to you, because I need safe spaces at this point. And as a black woman, I need a safe space in my girlfriends. And I can't be worried about, if I'm talking to you, if my business going to be with somebody, just because that's your friend, she ain't my friend, she shouldn't know my business. And so for me, I'm looking for safe places. And so when it comes to dating and relationships and dealing with black people on any level, I'm looking for, can I trust you? I don't have a problem submitting to anybody, but can I trust you to submit to you? I'm looking for certain things.
So you're saying a lot of times folks' hesitation is trust.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Absolutely. Because I'm just not going to blindly trust you just because you look good and you threw a few dollars.
What about in situations where they're with the men for a long time and they still refuse to be submissive or allow him to lead?
That's
a whole other.
That's something totally different, because I don't stay in a relationship that long.
So you're saying you're not just going to give it all up front? Because I saw Epiphany, you put a status.
Yeah, I'm not putting it all up front.
And Horace and I kind of jumped on it and was like, no.
Wait. What status?
Where you were like, you posted a picture that said something. It was showed an example. Then it said, "Trust me, the submission will come," or something like.
Oh. See, you know what? Let me answer you, Jeff. I love that you brought that up. So do you not think that I'm a submissive type of woman?
Wow. I think.
I
think that as long as someone's treating you good, you'll do whatever for them. But you are not like most, which is a good thing, and that's for everybody. You are a different spirit, and you have a good heart. But I'm speaking on a general consensus here.
So for me, that status was directly for me. I can't speak to anybody else.
Okay.
But for me, when I feel like I'm loved and and I feel the trust and I feel all the things that are good and bad in a relationship, right? I feel like I'm okay with you. I can trust you. I will be submissive. And it's very hard for people to even imagine that because of my personality. Like I'll give you the business sometimes in not in a bad way, but you know, I'll tell you what I think. And you know, it may hurt a little bit, but it'll still be respectful. But I can be very submissive. I like to be at home. I like to cook dinner. I want to have dinner on the table by 5 and be looking at your eyes by 5:30 at dinner. You know, those things are things that I, as a woman, would love, regardless of my race or whatever. Those are important to me. It's important to me that my man feels peace in the home, because I feel like the home should be your place of peace.
Right.
The home should be, you know, just like it should be a sanctuary. It should be, you know, everything, you know, I may go to work, I may deal with, you know, directors, managers, coworkers, whatever. When I come home, that is a temple. That should be a temple for both the man and the woman, because like what Epiphany was saying, I've done that. I've done that for my woman. I've definitely on more than several occasions, I will cook. I will fix her plate. I will bring her plate to her along with something cold to drink. She get done, I'll take the plate, either wash it right then. I'm like, you know, I'm lazy. I'll just put it in the dishwasher. I'll do that because I have no issue doing it. Number one, I like to cook. And so because I like to cook, I'm like, I tell my woman, you're my guinea pig. I need you to taste all my food and give me a thumbs up whether or not I'm doing a good job. But I have no issue doing that for my woman, because I don't know, she's definitely done that for me. My woman is definitely will cook for me and take care of me when I'm down. And so we do have that kind of relationship where it's like, I'm not going to ask or demand of something that I'm not willing to give myself. Right. And I'm certainly not the type, I'm not going to come in, like I said before, I don't beat my chest and say, because I'm the man, I have a dick between my legs, you should do this. You should submit to me. Like, no, I definitely want submission. I'll let a woman know, like, I'm going to do the things to earn that trust from you. I'm not going to come in on day one like, no, you should just submit to me. You don't know anything about me. You don't know my credibility and whether or not I make great decisions, but submit to me anyway. I'm like, no, I'm going to earn your submission. I'm definitely going to earn. I'm going to let you know, look, I'm going to make some good decisions, and I'm going to make some great decisions that I feel will be in the best interest of you, me, us, and our household. Right. But I certainly am willing on day one to come in and put in that work to earn that trust and earn your confidence.
Nah, I got a problem with that.
Go for it. That's what I'm here for. I'm here for it.
Oh yeah, I know it, brother.
Here we go. Lord.
Look here, Piff. Listen, look, you make a different kind of banana pudding. I heard it's banging. Okay. Here's my problem with the submission. Do I think that you're submissive? I do, after the checklist has been met.
Wait a minute.
I think all too often with women some women that I've encountered or heard of, you guys treat submission as an obstacle course or a reward. Like, brother got to go through a lot of things before you get to the point where you're submissive. And I think a brother got to go through things to get your respect and then get your submission. Like, he got to go and prove to you that
or buy something expensive.
Yeah, not me. Hell no. My uncle JT Money slapped me silly. But I'm saying submission a lot of times is treated like, if you show to be yourself this person, I will be submissive. When I'm saying submissive and respect ain't too far from each other. I'm like Troy. I like to cook. I like to clean. I'm OCD. But being submissive, I need to see that you even have those capabilities. I'm not going to sit around here be waiting to see if you're going to be submissive. I'm not on no damn obstacle course.
You saw that? Do you see that comment?
I'm coming back to it in a second, because he wasn't looking, but I'm coming back to it in a second. Go ahead.
They come. They.
Listen, we had a mid-season break. We back, but it's all right. It's all good.
Well, I said what I said.
Jesus wept. Look,
I said what I said.
No, Horace, you missed the
let me say this. I do have something to say. It should blow your socks off, okay?
I got on my church socks.
The moment
he said, I got on my church socks.
Listen, I'm glad. Okay, so let me say this. Since you say having a good relationship and submission are not too far off, when we all met via video chat during COVID, and we're all trying to like kind of figure each other out, and y'all are talking, I'm talking, Dr. Hughes is talking, Jeff is talking, and I don't remember specifically what I said, but Troy says, I like her. And then you said, I like her too. Jeff's like, that's my homegirl. What's up? So then we have our first show and y'all are like, okay, Epiphany, you good. So you don't think that I had to be submissive in some ways for you guys to even see who I really am as a... Huh?
I'm talking about relationship wise.
No, you were
I'm talking to Horace because Horace said now having a good relationship and submission go hand in hand pretty much. But I'm saying we're submissive on the show by allowing each other to speak and not speak over each other. That's a level of submission. I don't think that necessarily you have to quantify everything as a hurdle or this. I just think it's life. Life is not easy. And in what world are you going to meet this woman where she is like, okay, I completely trust you. I'm going to just lay everything down and I'm going to just allow everything.
You missed one point.
All the time.
You missed one point, Jeff.
Huh?
You missed one point in that conversation. I said respect and submission aren't too far apart. My bad.
I'm sorry. You're right. You did say. I apologize. So, but being respectful, I mean, all of it, right? Speaking, all of that is submission. All of it, everything that we do on a day to day. So, Horace, this is my challenge to you because we talk, so I know you a little bit more. I think the thing, I think the challenge with you is you have these homeboys.
That comment.
That
they listen to Piff.
I don't listen. I'm fine with it. Homeboys.
Shoot your shit.
You have these homeboys that can be a little crude at times. Is that too big of a word? That's not a big word.
No, it's not a big word.
A little crude at times. And you fall into that. And so you kind of toe this odd little line of I'm respectful and all this stuff. But then when you get with these homeboys from the block, I hope I'm allowed to say that, then you turn into this whole, the Horace I don't necessarily like, the one that makes my face do this. I feel a type of way about that.
No, I think you're mistaken is the fact that I'm showing you who I am and you're hanging on to a certain aspect of what you want to place out front.
I think if we share all this stuff and you are not showing it, then that's the only one I know. That's the only Horace I know.
I think you're missing it. When you're saying the part of you that you like, you're hanging on to that part. I'm saying there's a full spectrum of who I am. So one of my boys, it's not that I'm different. I communicate differently with my boys. Do you understand that? I'm authentic all the time, but you want to highlight the whole nice and Horace because I'm talking to you. My communication, my message is the same, but I'm with my guys and our communication may, be more crass when I'm talking to my boys. Doesn't mean it's not honest and doesn't mean it's not how I really feel.
I think it sounds like what we're talking about is some of the challenges that Black men and women have with connecting and learning how to live cohesively with one another, whether it's in a platonic relationship or more intimate, is understanding perception and perspective and respecting those two. And again, I want to get to this comment that the young lady she's new. She's new to the broadcast, and she says that it seems that we have barriers, aggression, and trust issues. I don't think that's the case. I think that what we're talking about here is blind trusting. I am not going to blindly trust somebody that I just met. That's how you become a statistic and die in a ditch. I personally know I have had students murdered because they blindly trusted somebody they met the first time dating them, and they hadn't known them long, and they literally, abused in life and in death, murdered her and dumped her body in a construction site.
Jesus.
So
I agree with her.
About that. I think it's a matter of for me.
So you agree that we come across like we have barriers and aggression and trust issues?
No. I thought that she said about people having barriers.
No, she said
you're in the air now.
Women on the panel.
No, she said we read it. It's right here. It says women on the panel
comes
across like they have barriers, aggression, and trust issues. I think that what we're talking about is when we're meeting somebody for the first time, blindly trusting somebody is dangerous, and people are literally. Have you seen the missing persons list? Sex and human trafficking is real. And so for me, I'm going to have things in place to protect myself when it comes to I'm looking for a safe space that of whoever I'm with, whether it's dating, what's platonic or anything else. And so it's just like Candy said, you don't give your all in the beginning phase. You have to go beyond the honeymoon phase to fully submit. And I think that not just when you there are things that you look for. You have expectations. Jeff is very traditional. He knows what he wants. Submission to him looks very different than it does to Horace, than it does to Troy, than it does to Epiphany. Like Epiphany, she has a way that she wants her to, like, I'm like that. I love to cook, and I'm looking forward to the day when I can prepare meals again for, like, I used to have dinner parties all the time when I lived in North Carolina. Like, that was my thing. But now
you need to move to DC and have them again.
I got a question.
To being able to have that, like, I'm like Epiphany. I may not have my dinner at 5 and I'm gonna take by 5:30, but I'm looking forward to cooking dinner and preparing meals and creating a peaceful home and sanctuary, because I do that for me now. Like, I do that for me now.
Question.
Because I want it to be authentic when that man comes along. But I'm not just gonna open my home and my space. And when I say my home, I'm talking about my temple. This is my home to just any random.
Question. So does that go back to what we were saying earlier? Like when she was talking about barriers, I was thinking like trust as, men and women both. Everyone has a lack of trust. No one wants to get played. Everybody, you might meet somebody who's afraid of getting hurt again. But I want to ask a different question. Just like you guys just blew, like, oh, I don't want to be hurt. Oh, people going to miss it. People going to. Do y'all realize?
Wait a minute, there's no you guys. It was Dr. Hughes, but go ahead.
Yeah. So I'm saying, do you guys sometimes realize you hold that position and you communicate that? Exactly. Like all of that, just like I'm scared. I'm like, you throw that out when you meet a guy and he's like, okay, I just came to the front door and you just unpacked all that shit right on me.
Yeah, but that's not all women.
Okay, so why are we generalizing? Because I'm at my front door, and you're saying what you're saying is I'm at my front door, and you're there with some flowers or whatever, and I'm like, I'm not getting in your car because X, Y, or Z. That's what you're saying.
Or maybe not to that extent, but it could be, oh, this guy, here we go. This is It's always preconceived notions.
But the thing, my issue is that it's not just Black women that do that. So again, Black women. Let me just break it down. Black women are not the only ones that are angry. If you look holistically, women are complainers. When we want something done a certain type of way, or we have it in our mind that we want something, we're gonna say we don't like it. I don't like that, or this doesn't make me happy, or whatever. It's every color of a woman out there in the world that says that, period. Mm-hmm. Well, Second of all, I think every single woman in this world, because it's 1 out of 4 women that have been raped or molested in this world, has that issue. It's not a Black woman issue. So I want you to separate the Black woman issue from the women issues, because you're talking about women issues. And at this point, yes, I can speak on women issues, but I'm not I'm not every woman.
That's right.
I'm saying every.
You said black woman.
But black women, don't you think black women are a little
I
bit
didn't
more
say black
aggressive-
women. I said
are a little
women.
bit more aggressive with these things? But I
No,
will say,
I
I'm
don't.
actually agree with you on this though. Actually,
you,
there are
Candy.
habits that other races have. Like when I was in my situation with a white female when I was much younger, I didn't even do anything physical, and she knew that in the state, you know, where we were, she knew that they would see me as an abuser or aggressive. They are quick to call you're the big back scary black guy. Whereas when you see a black on black relationship and there's a disturbance, they just roll their eyes. You know what I'm saying? So, and even in Black America, even one way they used to scare, how do I say? One rhetoric they used to say is that black men were aggressive and wanted to rape the beautiful white woman. So we're seen as aggressive. And they
So
use that
again,
as well.
when
So
we
I
talk
think
about
they
these
get
types
raised.
of issues, though, right? And and Horace knows, I'm gonna sing it till the cows come home. We have women issues, and then we have some black women issues. But a black woman issue in that scenario is we're not getting saved. Period.
Can I say something?
We're not getting saved. You have to understand something. Look at all the black women who are missing right now.
Yeah, and they don't even put it out there. They had to make a separate Amber Alert for black women because they refused to do one for us.
Well, I think we're getting off track. Listen, I said women, so I didn't say black women, but I want to go back to the point of the show. The point of the show was, why are black men and women having trouble connecting? Candy said something that I wanted to highlight. She said, I enter every relationship like I've never been hurt before. Now, she damn well still could have some unresolved shit in her. But I'm saying, if you can't come into a new friendship or relationship without some positive, I ain't gonna say what the word I'm looking for, but without coming into it optimistic, I think you shouldn't even be out there, because a lot of times what we're saying is, like for me, you meet a new person and I'm like Jeff may say on this checklist, he's a decent guy, he has a job, he has a car, he has a house. But the first 2 weeks, instead of her getting to know us, she's spending her 2 weeks trying to prove that I'm just like every other dude that's hurt her. So I'm saying a lot of times we have to come into a point where, hey, make sure we're healed. That way we can properly receive and communicate and see something that may be good for us.
I agree.
You don't think that black men have baggage?
Well,
Absolutely.
let me say this. I was going to get to that. Like one with me, I've been in this situation where girls with for a long time. She ended up going back to an ex, and because of that, now whenever I get any new situation, the first thing I say is, if we're going to be serious or be exclusive, you need to get rid of all your exes. And when I say get rid of them, I don't mean just stop talking to them. I mean you need to take them off social media, block their number. They don't exist unless you have a child with them or a house together or something. In that case, we have stipulations. And I get a lot of flack for that. I'm immediately called insecure or crazy or controlling. And all I want is to build a clean slate. And I don't want any issues arising from the past that remind you of them. I am an upgrade to them. And I am your king. Just like you are my queen.
I can get with that. I can get with that.
You would be so surprised how often I am met with, I've gotten walked out on dates before for saying that. And I'm just like, I don't understand why that's a problem. And it's not insecurity. It's not. It's just, it's a respect thing to me.
I mean, I think that everyone has a requirement.
Yeah, but I'm just saying it's that. Yeah,
right. But at the end of the day, when we start throwing stones from glass houses, and I'll admit, hey, I will put myself in the first glass house. I'm definitely not perfect. But when we start saying, oh, you have this issue, you're bringing this issue to me, I don't want to hear it. Da, 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 da. Case in point, Horace's friend, I won't mention his name, but I'm hoping that he listens.
I'm gonna make sure you do.
And that's fine. He says, before we even get on the live, he's like, oh, I don't want to hear no whining. I'm like, first of all, I'm not a whiny black woman. I'm not a whiny woman. But second of all, you don't even know what my opinion is on the topic. So automatically he made an assumption about me. So men are guilty of the same thing, and I experienced it just 2 days ago.
Well, he was joking. He said, "Can you have some cheese with your wine?"
Let me say this. I think that part of the problem is we make generalizations, but we also we joke about the wrong things at the wrong time. When you don't know somebody, you're creating you're creating an opportunity for you to get the response that you don't want, because so you're feeding into the response that you don't want. So why would you can't just come at somebody anyway. As a Black man, how would you feel if somebody came at you cross-eyed or wrong or in a way that generalizes, like that was a generalization that all Black women or all women are whining, or that you're gonna come table with XYZ, even though he may admit it in a joking way. If that's your first time meeting somebody,
that's your first impression of them.
That's the first impression, and you never get a second opportunity to make a first impression. And so how did you think that conversation was going to go? Because that skews it now. And so I think that as Black people, sometimes we use humor. We absolutely use humor to break the tension that often that we have within ourselves. But I think that we don't have we don't have that a good fine line between or knowing when to use humor or how, especially when your humor is sarcastic. So it goes back to what we were talking about communicating earlier and how we communicate with people.
Indeed.
We definitely need that part 2 to this.
Yeah, it's gotta be a part. We got to do this again.
I'm mad at Horace again, people. I'm leaving the show upset with Horace.
And they gonna have a 2 hour.
It's damn gift. The gift I have. Damn that gift.
Horace and I have very similar political views, and we know we get bullied. Horace and I get a lot of flack. Horace and I are very similar.
I'm giving myself a massage right now because, like,
100, Jeff.
Huh?
100.
We're very honest people. We're very similar political views. We don't go with the grain, and because we are more pragmatic, people fail to understand. They just listen to respond, not to understand. So I get it.
Thank you, sir.
You get it. So know what I do? I make them understand.
Yeah.
They like it. And once they do, they have nothing to say, so they block. Bye.
Yeah.
So Troy, I'm
gonna talk to Epiphany in 2 days.
Yes, doctor.
Why are they gonna save us from this and close us out? Because we're gonna have to do a part 2. Our next conversation is on the 29th, and we're definitely going to be talking about exes, and that's going to be our conversation on, should you get back with your ex? What's, the livelihood of you getting back with your ex? What are the pitfalls?
I feel like you're targeting me on that.
I am not. You see Jeff shaking his head violently. No, but based off of these comments about exes. So, but I want you to close us out on, just what are your thoughts on, we've had a very lively conversation tonight on Black men and Black women and the struggle with why we don't, what's the struggle with us loving and connecting with one another. And I think that we've had a lot of conversation, and definitely we're going to have several different parts to this. And but what's your closing thoughts on? I want to say closing argument, but I want to say what's your closing thoughts?
What was it back in Jerry Springer's final thoughts, or what somebody said? My answer may come across very generic, but everything I believe in regarding male and female relationships, or just, relationships in general, doesn't matter who's in it. It needs to be predicated on communication. That needs to be the alpha and the omega of the entire thing. You need to communicate. You need to, regardless if you are a Black man, Black woman, whomever you are, first and foremost, look at the other person. You need to humanize them. Look at them. They are a human being. Yes, they are a man or they are a woman, and you have your own preconceived notions of what they are supposed to do, how they're supposed to act, how they're supposed to treat you in a relationship. And a lot of these notions, these beliefs are rooted in how you were raised, your upbringing, your personal beliefs, political beliefs, whatever the case may be. Start off looking at them as a human being. Start off looking at them, and, we were talking about submission earlier, but, we also need to look at, the backbone of that is respect. You need to lead with respect. It doesn't matter if you are, it doesn't matter who you're dating. there needs to be an element of respect orbiting around that entire thing. Otherwise, it's going to fail. It's inevitable. It's going to fail. And so with the communication, with the respect, I think these are things that are essential. I mean, we're not always going to find or connect with that person that, we're not always going to find our spirit animal. We're not always going to find our kindred spirit and someone who's going to agree totally with our viewpoints on relationships. That's okay. It's okay to agree to disagree, but there needs to be an element of respect there. Even that respect of, hey, you know what, this may not work out. You feel this way, I feel that way, but it's okay to agree to disagree. It's okay to move forward amicably as mature adults. I think that's the best way I can put it right now. I mean, you kind of caught me off guard giving me the ending. So next time I'll come prepared with some notes. But when it's all said and done, I enjoyed the conversation as always. I mean, I enjoy black ass conversations. Someone please find that guy. I forgot his name that mentioned black ass conversations. The person.
One of our notes one time.
Oh, that's Keith, my friend Keith. He did it.
Yeah, someone find it and say
Calloway or something like that.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. What the beautiful Epiphany said. Someone needs to let her know, like, that was a great inspiration, because as soon as I saw it, when you said black ass conversation, I'm like, yes. We need that. That's what we have. We're having some black ass conversations.
Of course, real quick, I want to say this to people who keep saying, you said agree and disagree, whatever. It is so sad. I notice a lot of people, I've gotten about 14 people on this pod message me privately saying they agree with me or they like my stances, but because it seems everyone disagreed with me, they didn't want to get bullied or whatever. Because, we're in a society where people are scared to say what they feel publicly. They don't want backlash. True. I want to let everyone know you're in a safe space. It is okay. They come on Code Red and they're fine doing that, agreeing with me on there. But it seems that on Twitter, on my posts and stuff, they don't. You can always co-sign. I don't need backup. I mean, I'm more than capable, but don't feel afraid to say that you agree with what I'm standing with. It's okay.
Right.
You're not going down.
So wait, can I just respond to Rodney? Rodney, don't worry. I'm going to make him listen to me for 4 hours this coming time. Thank you. Mm-hmm.
I want to say to Miss Anna, no offense, absolutely none. We know how to agree to disagree on this platform. We speak respectfully. One of the things that we really encourage is making sure that is absolutely entitled to their opinion. Yeah, our conversations absolutely get heated, and that's what we want to do. We all have varying perspectives here, and the goal is to have polarizing conversations to get you all to start thinking differently and thinking about your perspectives on what we're talking about, and maybe open you up to something different. And so sometimes our conversations go left, they go right, they go in different directions, but absolutely no offense was taken, at least on my part. At all. I was not angry at all. I am very passionate about creating safe spaces for people to have conversation. We laugh, we joke. We'll probably, when this live ends, we're going to talk a little bit. But I just thank you all. I just want to say thank you all to our audience. You guys are amazing. And we appreciate the energy that you all bring to the conversation, because it makes it alive, and it definitely helps us do more thinking and soul searching for ourselves. So I'm excited about our next conversation in 2 weeks. And yesterday, if you missed it, Horace, I did an interview with Horace about Blacks in politics. Please take a look at that. If you're interested in other relationship conversations, please head over, look up Ringside. It is on Facebook. Ringside, join the Ringside conversation. We got all kinds of stuff going on over there. Code Red,
all kinds of shit,
all kinds of stuff. Jeff and his best friends, they have Code Red. They also have a show. When is the show? Is the show tomorrow night or Friday?
Yeah, Lord have mercy. It's tomorrow night. It's on Thursday night, and it's gonna rock a lot. It's gonna just, a lot of people are gonna be upset. I don't care. Go ahead.
Can someone send me a link to that?
Kind of.
Red show, yeah.
When I go live, I'll send it in the group.
Yeah. Okay. So again, thank you all so much for tuning in tonight. It was
very X-rated. We're very excited. I'm trying to warn you.
And I'll try to get in the chat and respond to as many of you as possible. You know, you guys like, share, comment, host watch parties, have conversations of your own about our conversations, and you know, feel how you feel. Have conversations with yourselves about how Black men and women can come together and address some of the issues that we talked about, especially earlier on in the conversation, because the goal is to bring together Black people and Black unity. And you know, we're going to agree to disagree, but we want to find solutions to help our community grow and be better. And so we love you guys so much, and thank you so much. Have a great night. If I can end the broadcast. It's stuck. I'm always having issues trying to end the broadcast.
I can keep going. Well, you know, my take